All right, crew, we're live. How's everyone doing today? So we have our usual Saturday morning Ask Me Anything, Yoga for BJJ related, but it's kind of turned into us hanging out and chatting about jiu-jitsu and, talking about stretching in there too. So send me your belt level and send me the last time you trained, and if you are training. So send me your belt level, what belt are you, and what's the last time you trained? I guess I'll tell you from my side. I am a black belt, and you know what? The last time I trained, I haven't trained for a while. When's the last time I trained? Last time I trained jiu-jitsu was probably about 4 months ago, something like that. So because we're in lockdown and we actually can't do any training right now. So I'm doing lots of yoga and kettlebells and stuff. Awesome. Good for you, white belt. Welcome to the dark side. That's what I always say. Welcome to the dark side. So, blue belt, you trained last night. Where are you that you were training last night? Oh, awesome. Just got home from women's jiu-jitsu class. And how was that? How was the jiu-jitsu class? I miss teaching women's jiu-jitsu. It was so much fun. Just made a whole bunch of savages. All right, so shoot your belt level in, and last time you trained. It looks like a lot of people training. So that means in the Okanagan here, we probably have, in Canada, we probably have hope. We're probably gonna be opening up pretty quick here. So that's exciting. Trained this week, Africa, wow. What time is it in Africa? Oh yeah, seaside but you're in small pod training, yeah. Mark, you trained last in October, November, December, January, February. 5 months ago, yeah. We're kind of in the same boat there, Mark, you and me. But that's okay. Doing some yoga and kettlebells. It's 8:30, 6:30. Well, that's not terrible. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 12 years and just started yoga yesterday. What yoga program did you do yesterday, Sam? You guys are all young. What about us old farts? What about you old farts? Tell me, Bruno, how long you been training for? Do you need yoga for old farts? What do you need? That's amazing. Yeah, Sam, how was your first yoga session? Was it good? All right, so while you guys are just pumping in the comments there, I am super interested what belt you are, last time you trained, what's going on in the big world out there. I can tell you about my live class that I have coming up. For me, it's this morning, but actually, for some of you guys, it's in the evening. So this will be perfect for you too. Oh yeah, Wim Hof, yeah, he's pretty great. So for today's session, it is going to be slower stretching because you need the flows. You need the flow and the building of the stabilizing muscles in the core and getting the blood in the muscles and lengthening them. But today will be a little bit slower where we focus on using time to stretch some of the connective tissue. And that is a thing because I had the hardest time in the world for actually years trying to release my hamstrings, because they're always so tight. Are anyone else's hamstrings tight too? Or am I the only one in the world that has tight? Well, I know I'm not the only one in the world that's tight hamstrings, but let me know how your hamstrings are feeling. Hamstrings and hips, right? Hips quite often are tight. Years ago and like to come back to the grinder. Oh yes. So Bruno, you stopped training a few years ago, would like to come back to the grinder. Well, you know what? You guys usually come back to the grinder and beat all of us young people up. So I don't know if that's a good idea. But then my other thought is if you want to do that, you can come do some stretching. Some yoga will definitely help. It just kind of brings, best way to say it without sounding like a yoga hippie, right? But it honestly does. It brings life back into everything, where the parts of the body that are commonly ignored or not taken care of, it takes care of them and brings blood flow to them and to the ligaments, everything. So today's class, Hamstrings is, well, we do stretch a lot of things, but I had the hardest time releasing those hamstrings. And I found that there's a lot of elements that go into it because you need to lengthen them. There's also an element of strengthening that needs to happen too. But today, there's longer held poses, like I mentioned, to really release also the fascia. So that's the best way to explain that, is the saran wrap around the muscles, and it can get really knotted up. It can get really tight, especially if there's injury or trauma, right? So this, and I think probably what we do to ourselves in jiu-jitsu is probably injury and trauma to the fascia every day. That's a joke, is it though? So this will really help release that. So not just the muscles, but that. So judo, first time, been doing yoga for about a year, but only just started Yoga for BJJ. Well, welcome. How are you liking it? Don't tell me you hate it, because then you hurt my feelings. But that's okay, I don't have any feelings left after all this. Oh, recently got your black belt and in Taekwondo, TKD, and started teaching. Any tips? So what are you looking for? Tips for Midnight 95? Are you thinking tips for teaching, tips for stretching, tips for life? I can help you with tips for life. I just say drink a lot of coffee. That's really all you need in life, and get a lot done. Really awake too. Watching the UK, haven't trained in judo for over a year now due to COVID. Yeah. Well, you know what? The crazy part is with the COVID, I found that it's amazing to see how resilient people are. How they've gone online, how they've found ways to train, how they found ways to stay active. Like, that's been really, really cool for me to see, including even Yoga for BJJ, like we did the level 1 instructor course in person, then COVID hit, and we had a lot of instructors that still wanted, well, a lot of people that still wanted to be instructors. It's like, what do we do? And, Seb and Stina put it online, and it was actually super cool, because there's a lot of people that never would have been able to be instructors, like from Alaska, that became them. So that was super cool. So stretching tips in order to prepare your body. But over 50. Oh man, Bruno, you're unreal. This is so cool. So stretching tips for over 50. So Bruno, give me a little bit more information, like, yeah, to prepare your body for training. So you know what I would recommend? We have a really great program to start with called it's called Yoga for Boulders, but honestly, I love it. Like, I made it. I'm like, I absolutely love this program, because it's for a few of my friends that are brown and black belts, and they're really big. They're like just big powerhouses, but also people that are stiff, people that are starting off. So check out the Yoga for Boulders section. There's like a whole 20-minute series on that. But classes just prepare the body. So let's think, what do we do in wrestling? In wrestling, we are doing a lot with the back. And it sucks to go into wrestling and having the back be really stiff. So kind of what I'm dissecting here is, on a side note, we have our Yoga for BJJ official warm-up, and that's what I'm pulling this from. So it's on the site too. So I'm pulling this from that little crash course. Yeah. So Bruno, jump in the Yoga for Boulders, see what you think of that. And that's just stretches, right? That's just a sequencing of stretches. One's focusing on the shoulders, one's focusing on the hips. And then if that's not enough for you, you can go to Yoga for Rocks. Both those programs are absolutely amazing. So try those out. Okay, let's think wrestling, the back, definitely. So with the back, I move into cat-cow. Let's getting the spine moving, because so often throughout the day, I'll go from sitting at a desk for a long time, and then you jump on the mats. Or if it's a morning class, out of bed, and you jump on the mats. And the back hasn't really moved. So we're like, doesn't like that. The back is like, what the hell are you doing to me? Going from being static to on the jiu-jitsu mat. So getting the back moving in cat-cow, flexion and extension of the back. So arching the spine, rounding it towards the ground, but don't forget between the shoulders. So lower back, middle back, upper back, everything to the ground. Then the opposite of that, extending the back towards the ceiling. So start with, it's called cat-cow because arching the spine towards the ground is like a super old cow. Maybe just a cow. I always call it an old cow because I feel like an old cow when I do it. And then rounding the spine like an angry cat. So cat-cow. This is a great start to start moving the spine. Then adding to that, after you've done a few repetitions, stretch the side body. So almost like wagging the tail if you had one, stretching the side body like left and right. Then circles. So moving the spine before jiu-jitsu. Then what's the next one that we do? The next one that we really use are the legs. So take the right foot or your favorite foot, step it to the outside of the hand, to the outside of the hand. I like to have the toes pointed out a little bit. This will stretch the inside of the front hip and the front of the back hip. So it's called lizard. So this is really great because if I look at the front, you jump on your back. We'll be using this a lot in the guard, right? Stuff like that. So we need to stretch the hips. So we've got the inside of the front hip and the front of the back hip. Don't say that 3 times. Then walk the hands back just to stretch that hamstring. Yeah, you bet it. You bet, Bruno. You got it. You got it. Yoga for BJJ boulders and rocks. So this stretches the hamstrings. So this is a lot of jiu-jitsu, right? We need the hamstrings to be movable. We need to stretch the hips back and forth. So we got cat-cow. We've got this is called half splits. It feels great. I don't know why they named it half splits, because half splits makes you be absolutely terrified and be like, this is going to feel terrible. No, this feels really great. The next one that I would say, like, obviously go to the other side, stretch out both sides, boom. And the next one is, again, going back to the back, but let's bring some blood flow and strengthening into the back. So dropping the torso to the ground, and honestly, 2 variations. Variation 1 is I would go to Sphinx, right? I'd go to what's called Sphinx, a really gentle back bend, and it feels really good after having been in forward flexion, the opposite all day. Then the next one, so if this isn't enough, or if you've done the set cat-cow, lizard, you do it going your second time through, go to, I call it skydiver, lifting the heels up, engaging the back of the legs, the hamstrings, lifting the shoulders up, then lifting the hands up, palms down. This will bring blood flow to the back. And after that, give the back a little breather. You can just bring the hips to heels for turtle. So that is like a really, really great crash course on kind of preparing the body for jiu-jitsu, because those directly like transfer over to jiu-jitsu, right? So that's really important. That's what you want. Because I find like not warming up at all, or the traditional warm up, you know, like I come from the counting warm up, right? The jumping jacks, squats, push-ups. And I hated it. I'm just like, I didn't come here to do jumping jacks, squats, and push-ups. This isn't making me any stronger, really, because they're not even good quality push-ups, because I'm trying to keep up the counting, and then this isn't helping my flexibility jiu-jitsu movement at all. So like it has its place, I guess, but for me, I found that the Yoga for BJJ warm-up was absolutely amazing. Just enough of a sweat on, just half a bead of sweat, just enough, targets the entire body, and then you feel really good and ready to wrestle. And the warm-up was enjoyable, because at the end of the day, we're doing jiu-jitsu because we enjoy it. Sometimes we love to hate it. Sometimes it's really hard, it's really challenging, but that's the part of us, that's the crazy part of us that keeps coming back, right, for that challenge. And also, it's just a fun sport. Like, I couldn't go back to team sports after jiu-jitsu, like soccer. I'm just like, why don't you just give everybody a ball? But that's just me. So today's class, I'll give you a highlight of today's class. We have some slower stretches, okay? So you will need, you know, a belt is optional, or something belt-like in your house that you can find is optional. And something like a block to lean on during the class, because when we're stretching, You want stuff to be supported so it's not crazy intense. You don't need those, but it's nice to have them. And we'll move through slower stretches of the hamstrings. In turn, that will also stretch the lower back. If your side body's tight, you'll feel it there. And also stretching, the shoulders, some really, really great shoulder opening stretches. Today's class is a long one. It's 60 minutes. I always want to make a joke and say it's 59 minutes. So it's definitely a longer class. Usually I run about 20 minutes to 30 minutes because that's kind of an easier one to do at home. But this one is meant for after training, for your day off. You can do it in the morning when you get up, but even the best is to do it before bed. You do this class before bed and just feel it calms the nervous system down too. And it's really nice after this to be able to relax everything. You know, that happens in bed. All right, so if you want to join me for class, jump on to yogaforbjj.net. So it's not on Instagram, it's on the website. And just because it's set up all nice. And go ahead and just jump on the banner, I'll be there. Or you can go ahead and swipe up on the story and then it will pull you over to the website. Okay, so I'm really excited for this class. I'm really excited for the slow class. It's like an oxymoron. And I look forward to seeing everyone there that's coming in. And thanks for hanging out, everybody.